Hey, good morning. It's Craig Bennett, aka Cash K, here at DFSArmy for another NBA First Look podcast. We got a nice little 7-game slate on our hands on Monday, April 5th, 2021, and got a lot of injury news to go over. Some teams that have a lot of guys doubtful in Minnesota, what we're going to do with Brooklyn on a back-to-back and their whole situation. So we're going to dive right into this. Going to go through DraftKings as the backdrop, but we'll do Fanduel at the end and build sample lineups in both. So you can kind of see where I'm at early in the day, as it's only 7:30 Eastern Standard Time here. But like to get this out, kind of grab a cup of coffee, see what we're on early, kind of get that mind right for some NBA action. So again, let's just dive right into this. But before that, hit that like button for me, subscribe to the channel, and turn that notification on so you know when I post these videos. And let's just dive right in this thing. All right, again, DraftKings is the backdrop. First game on tap, we have New York Knicks at Brooklyn. Do not have a total here. News-wise, Norvel Pell is probable. Kevin Durant is still out. Blake Griffin is doubtful of back-to-back, so I doubt he's going to play. James Harden is questionable as well, and Tyler Johnson is probable. So the big news here for Brooklyn, if Harden sits again, I love going right back to LaMarcus Aldridge. We saw him put up a monster, almost 40-point game 2 games ago when we had the same situation with no Blake, no Blake Griffin and no Harden. And he played 30 minutes against Charlotte and put up 37 fantasy points. We had Griffin. I talked about this yesterday's video. I talked about a little bit. I liked LMA, but was unsure how the minutes were going to play out with, with those 2 studs out, but with Blake Griffin playing. And, it looks like he only played 26 minutes, put up 22 fantasy points, did not do well. Hopefully that gets some people off of him, because with no Blake, I think he's going to go out there, shoot a little bit more usage and everything else. Won't love him a ton if Harden is back, but if Harden does sit again, I'm going right back to LaMarcus Aldridge here with no Blake Griffin. So we're going to throw him in here. He is priced at $5,600 on DraftKings. Over here on FanDuel, he is priced at $5,800. He's center eligible only at FanDuel, but again, I like that a lot. With which we should have no Blake Griffin here. And again, if Harden sits, I love him even more. Might be a complete core all-in play for me on DraftKings. It's just still too cheap with what he should do against this Knicks team. Again, Knicks are fully healthy, but still on Brooklyn. If Harden are out, go right back to Kyrie Irving. Again, the Knicks kind of play slow, so I don't love it, but on a 7-game slate, we know the usage is going to go mostly to Irving and LMA here. Joe Harris, $6,200 on DraftKings. 5K on FanDuel, more of a FanDuel play than DraftKings. I don't want to pay that price for Joe Harris. Bruce Brown, $5,400 on DraftKings, 5K on FanDuel. Don't really love it. Jeff Green would get more run, probably start next to LMA today, playing that 4. $5,200 on DraftKings, $4,500 on FanDuel. Got 40 in that game against Charlotte, again, when they went when there was no Blake Griffin. So don't mind him. Love him on FanDuel, though, at that small forward position at $4,500. On DraftKings, though, I don't mind playing him. Like I said, Blake should sit here, but nobody I'm going to shove in at $5,200 on DraftKings. I'd much rather pay $400 more for LMA. The upside's way more, in my opinion. So that's where I'm kind of sitting. I'm not going into these other guys. We've got to wait on this news for Harden. Beginning tip 7 p.m. So as we look at the 7-game slate, all these games tip early, which I love. We got 6 games all at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and 1 starts at 8. No late games. Fantastic. I love it. For being an East Coast guy here in Indy, I love that. So that's what we're going to sit at. Over on the Knicks side, again, Julius Randle is $9,600 on DraftKings. Over here on FanDuel, he is sitting at $9K. Love that price on FanDuel. Not so much on DraftKings, but again, bigs against Brooklyn. I know we got LMA there, but I still don't mind going to him. That's where the ball's going to go. But this team kind of fully healthy. We got RJ Barrett, $6,800 on FanDuel, $6,700 on DraftKings. Don't really love it. 26, 16, 33 over his last 3. That's not going to get it done. Alec Burks is priced up. Elf on a Shelf, Peyton, is $4,600. But with Derrick Rose coming back, I don't know how many minutes he's going to get. He could see only 22 minutes here. With D Rose coming back, I think he's going to get a big boost off the bench. They got Burks, they got Bullock. Tibbs is going to play a lot of guards here. They got Quickly. I'm not really interested in a whole lot on the Brooklyn side outside of Randall on FanDuel and maybe some Derrick Rose. Derrick Rose is $4,800 on DraftKings. He is $4,900 on FanDuel. But, he gets some run here. Last 2 games, though, 16, 14, 24. Really hasn't shown a ceiling. But it kind of muddles up that whole backcourt for New York Knicks. Let's head over to the next game where we got Utah at Dallas. Here we'll look on the Utah side. Looks like there's still no Morgan, no JJ Redick. I'm sorry. On the Utah side, there's no Juwan Morgan. On the Dallas side, still no JJ Redick, no Terry. And then Kristaps Porzingis is questionable. Same with Josh Richardson. Willie Cauley-Stein is out, and Maxi Kleber is probable. So on the Utah side, really no big here, nothing big here. We know that where the usage is going to go. It's still the main 5 guys. They've been running a tight rotation all year long. It's Mitchell, Gobert, Conley, Clarkson, Ingles. Takes me off of Ingles and Clarkson with Conley coming back to play here just because they don't play in a back-to-back. So I'm mainly going to focus on if I'm playing anyone here going up against Dallas. I don't mind a little bit of Rudy Gobert at 90 or 7,900 on DraftKings, 8,100 on Fanduel. Don't love it, but I don't mind taking some shots at some of the bigs going up against Dallas here. Donovan Mitchell, 9,100 on DraftKings, 8,800 on FanDuel. When they're at full strength, I'm basically looking at Conley and Mitchell as my main 2 targets. I don't think I'm going to go deviate from that too much. Like I said, Clarkson, Ingles, Bogdanovich, kind of all out of play for me when they're at full strength. They play decent minutes, but all the minutes are going to go towards Mitchell. All the usage is going to be towards Mitchell. 33% usage rate for the season, 1.20 fantasy points per minute. Kind of the guy that is going to lead that team. So it's Rudy Gobert and Mitchell and Conley for me. Not going to go extremely heavy. I think Conley's more of a FanDuel play, but those are the 3 guys that I'm looking at. They're not going to make this lineup. On DraftKings, it would mainly be Rudy Gobert at price going up against Dallas. 27, 41, 34, 52 over his last 4. I think you can get there, but that would be the main guy I would look at. Over on the Dallas side, again, we're going to need this news on Kristaps Porzingis and Josh Richardson, because if we did have some of those guys out, it's going to open things up. Luka Doncic is 10-8 on DraftKings, 10-3 on FanDuel. His usage, will go way up here. Tough matchup against Utah, but Luka can get it done. Hasn't really put up any monster games recently. 47, 47, 53, 43 over his last 4. Just not putting up a massive stat line like we've seen in the past. So Tim Hardaway Jr. get a little bit of a boost. 5,900 on DraftKings, 5,400 on FanDuel if we did have no Jay Rich or the Unicorn. Brunson, 4,900 on FanDuel, 5,400 on DraftKings. And then we kind of got to see if Utah's going to start Gobert, if we had no Porzingis, and we had no Willie Cauley-Stein. I think they'd probably still start Kleber at the 4. Maybe we'll see another, Boban sighting at 3,800 on DraftKings. Over on FanDuel, he is only sitting at, what is he at here? I don't think we'll see a bunch of him, but he's 4,500 on FanDuel, which I wouldn't go to anyways. Even if he starts, I would. But I think with Maxi Kleber back, Finney Smith, 4,500 on FanDuel, 4,900 on DraftKings. All these guys are kind of funky price, so don't love it going against Utah here. So we'll just kind of move along. Washington at Toronto, the next game here. We have, for Washington, there's no Gafford. Bradley Beal is questionable. Rui Hachimura is questionable. And on the Toronto side, no Lowry. Van Fleet is questionable. It looks like Rodney Hood is out and Paul Watson is out as well. So there could be, if Van Fleet sits here, there could be a ton of value on the Toronto side here. Again, on Washington, same kind of deal. This is a game we would just load up on. Again, we don't have a total for this game either with all the news. There's been a ton of news in NBA, especially the last week. But Russell Westbrook, 11K on FanDuel, 11-1 on DraftKings. If Beal sits, I'm going right back to Russell Westbrook, especially against Toronto. They're not that good of a defensive team, especially if there's no Lowry, Van Fleet. I will take him all day long, twice on Tuesday with no Hachimura and Beal. Then we can look at other guys on this team. We got Ish Smith at 3,900. Again, if both those guys sit, we probably would see, guys like, the usage would have to go up on Bertans, Hutchinson, Ish Smith, Denny. Like, we would have to kind of see the lineup they would throw out. But Westbrook would be a core play for me against Toronto if we did see Beal and Hachimura sit. If they do both play, I don't think I want to spend 11-1 for Westbrook, and I don't want to go 9-4 for Beal. And Hachimura is overpriced if they all 3 play. So that's where I kind of sit on that. On the Toronto side, again, ton of injuries here. If Van Fleet sits with Lowry, I think we load up on Siakam and OG. They're going to carry the offensive team here. Oh, Siakam's been on fire recently too. 58 his last game. I guess 30, 28 before that, but a 39 and 53. But his usage would go way up if we had no Van Fleet out there. Would shoot a ton. There ain't nobody in Washington that could stop him. So I would throw some Van Fleet or Siakam in this. And then, like I said, OG would be the next guy, and Trent Jr. Those are the guys I want to look at. OG 7K on FanDuel, 7,200 on DraftKings. Trent is 5,400 on FanDuel, way too cheap. 6-6 on DraftKings, a little pricey, but his last two games, shooting the ball a ton. 14, 22 shots, shooting 57% and 54%. Put up 40 burgers in both games. So a guy that we can look at, and I'm all fine going all three of these guys. Same with OG's been extremely consistent, but priced up. 34, 48, 36, 37 over his last four games. 7,200 is probably a little high for him. I prefer him over on FanDuel because you can play him at small forward. But a guy I would look at, same with Trent. So maybe on DraftKings, we pick one of Trent Jr. or OG. I'll go Trent Jr. here. The minutes would be even higher if we didn't have any Van Fleet. So we'll throw him in this lineup, but I think you can stack him up here. Chris Boucher, 5,900 on DraftKings, 5K on FanDuel. He play a few more minutes here as well. We would probably see a little more out of Bembry. I think Flynn could get the start here. I don't think I love Flynn. He's 3,500, but put this, he 31 minutes, put up 33 fantasy points. So if he did get the start, we could look at him if there was no Fred VanVleet. He's only been a 0.63 fantasy points per minute over the season, but that doesn't mean we can't go to him at a cheap tag. So I'm going to throw him in this lineup just because he's a cheap guard, and until we find some better value, we're going to look at. And this is all if Fred VanVleet is out, so keep that in mind. Bembry, Stanley Johnson, I don't really want any of these guys. It's basically Trent Jr., OG, Siakam, and I'd rank them Siakam, Trent Jr., OG on DraftKings. On FanDuel, I would rank them Siakam, OG, and Trent Jr. on FanDuel with Chris Boucher and Flynn. Flynn's more of a DraftKings play than FanDuel play. DraftKings, we're always looking for those 3K guys to get some studs in. On FanDuel, not so much. I don't want to play him over there unless he's going to get the start and we need the salary. But we'll kind of feel that out when we build these lineups. But over on DraftKings, all these guys are going to be in play for sure. And those are the guys I would look into. Let's head on to the next game here. We got Cleveland at the Spurs. We actually have a total in this game, 215.5 over under. The Spurs favored by 9. Jared Allen is questionable. Larry Nance Jr. is questionable. Windler's questionable. And for the Spurs, no Trey Lyles, Walker, or Bates Diop. And Gorgie Jang is questionable. And Drew Eubanks is probable. On the Cleveland side, if all these guys sit, where are we going to go here? With Cleveland, they got 103 implied team total. We know the usage is basically going to go towards Garland and Sexton here. Love's not playing enough minutes. He is 5,700 on DraftKings, 4,600 on FanDuel, 23 and 20 minutes here. I think if you're going to look at, FanDuel maybe, but the ceiling isn't there. Like if you're looking for a cash play, maybe, and he's only going to play 23, 25 minutes, he's definitely could get you there on FanDuel. DraftKings, I ain't paying 5,700 for him for the minutes he's going to play. Hartenstein, though, at 4,400 on DraftKings, 4K on FanDuel. I think he's in play on both sides. I might just throw him in this lineup at 4K. If all those guys are out, should play 20 to 25 minutes if all those guys are out. So don't love him, but, he kind of gets us there. We'll throw him in this lineup, but he might not end this last lineup for us here. Again, like I said, Garland 6,400 on DraftKings, 5,900 on FanDuel. Love that price on FanDuel. Don't mind him on DraftKings. Again, I think he's going to play a ton of minutes. 6,400 is a pretty decent tag on him. So I don't mind him. Actually, I might take out Hartenstein. I think we got the money to get to Garland here. If we look at his game log over to 32, 21, 33, 28, but the minutes are massive. 6,400, we might be able to get there. Let's throw him in this lineup here. Sexton has upside, but he's still scoring dependent. 7,500 on DraftKings, 7,500 on FanDuel. Again, don't mind him in tournaments because he does have upside. Over on the Spurs, going up against Cleveland, you can basically play about anyone you want here. The problem is Pop's got to can play 15 guys. DeMar DeRozan, 7,900 on FanDuel, 8,200 on DraftKings. Don't really love the tag on him. Don't love the tag on a lot of these guys. DeJounte Murray, 7,800 on FanDuel, 7,500 on DraftKings. Pretty fair for him going up against the Spurs. 38, 33, 33, 43 over his last four. It's pretty fair, but I want 40 plus out of him to really love him. Jakob Poeltl, 6,900 on DraftKings. That is expensive. But look what he's done in his last 5 games. 45, 38, 36, 40, 38. But playing massive minutes. 40, 44, 30, 32 over his last 4. He should be able to do what he wants against Cleveland here. So maybe we'll take him out and play some Jakob Poeltl. It is expensive, 7,100 on FanDuel, but the minutes are there. And if we're going to get no Gorgie Jang here, even though Eubanks is, probable. The one thing about Poeltl, I watched the game a couple games ago. Towards the end, they were playing hack a Poeltl. I don't know if you remember that when Shaq was in there in the last 5 minutes of a game and they were down. Teams were just fouling the crap out of him. They fouled Jakob Poeltl, airball 2 free throws, and they had to bring Eubanks in because Poeltl couldn't hit any free throws, and so Pop wasn't going to have any part of that because Pop was doing that against Shaq back when Shaq played. But anyways, just something I noticed, but I don't think they should handle Cleveland pretty handily here. So a little expensive on Jakob. I don't think you have to go there, but at the same time, I don't mind going to Jakob here. Over the last month, he's been over a fantasy point per minute. And again, if we're going to see 35 minutes out of the guy, it's hard not to play him. So again, fringe play here at that price because I want a 40 burger, but a guy that I don't mind looking at playing. And again, it was between him and Garland here. I don't really want to play these other guys. No White Johnson, Rudy Gay, Patty Mills. Again, Pop can go super deep here. It's DeMar DeRozan, it's Jakob Poeltl, it's DeJounte Murray, or bust. Let's go to the next game here. We got Detroit at OKC. 213 over-under, very low over-under here. Detroit favored by 3, and a bucket of news here. No Mason Plumlee. No Wayne Ellington here. No Jahlil Okafor. No Magruder for Detroit. And OKC, no Muscala, no Hall, no Baisley, no Dort, no Roby. Ton of injury news in this damn game. And it's two dumpster fires of a team here. I think Isaiah Stewart is a guy I want a ton of here because we have no Plumlee. He should get the start. Sorry, Jakob Poeltl, you're getting beat to the bench here. Stewart is only 4K. Probably going to be a core play at that price. Looking at having no Plumlee out there, no Okafor, they need a center. So Stewart could play a ton of minutes, and he is a point per minute monster. He could absolutely crush here. Always love playing this guy. So Stewart definitely going to be in the lineup. Definitely probably going to be a core play here going up against OKC. Same with Grant. Love Grant here. 6,400 on FanDuel is just ridiculous. Saddiq Bey, 4,400 on FanDuel is stupid cheap. He's 5,100 on DraftKings. I don't mind that as well. I think you can load up here. Saddiq Bey, again, didn't look too well the last 2 games, but we know there's upside out of him. And if he's going to play, 30 minutes, they need bigs. So I'm going to focus more on the bigs and Grant, Saddiq Bey, and Stewart. Stewart's probably the number 1 I'm going to play. And then I would choose one out of Saddiq Bey or Grant. I'm going to throw Grant in this lineup, but you can play Saddiq Bey as well. The problem if you play Grant in here, you got 35 left. Let's throw Bey in here just so we can get a little bit left in this 5,600. Those are the guys I would look at. Diallo's would be fun off the bench, but they got a lot of guards. Josh Jackson's there. Smith, Saban Lee, Hayes. They are extremely guard heavy. Focus on the bigs on Detroit. Over on the OKC side, again, they are all out. Moses Brown's going to get a ton of run here with no Baisley, no Roby, no Muscala. It's going to have to play a ton here going up against Detroit. I don't mind him at 7,100. So even if we wanted to get off LMA, even depending on the news with Harden, we could actually get off him. Or is LMA center eligible only? Because I want Stewart. So it's a 2-center night. Looking at DraftKings here a little bit. There's just a lot of ways to go. Moses Brown, 6,800 on FanDuel. We're going to see a lot of, they're going to be really tight rotations here. So I think you're going to want a couple of these guys from this game with all the injury consideration. Again, Detroit's the bigs for me, and then it's Moses Brown here. That's the guy I'm really looking at the most. And Pogozevsky, I guess you could look at 5,300. Put up some decent games, 21, 35, 32 over his last 3. Better play on FanDuel. He's 5,500, though. Not a guy you have to force in here, but he would fit in this lineup pretty nicely at 5,300. And I kind of like this lineup. It's pretty nice. So a guy we could throw in there. But again, it's either him or Brown. Hard for me, though, if we do have Harden out, I would rather have LMA and Stewart. I think there's bigger upside at price. But if not, we could slide in Brown here. So I'll slide in Brown here, and we got 4,100 left to find a forward utility slot. So those are the guys I'm going to look at. If you want to look at playing A Bradley could be interesting in the center position. Put up 30 in 25 minutes. He does got skills back from when he played for Utah, and then a little bit with Philly. The dude does have game, and we could see 25 minutes out of him, and he's over a fantasy point per minute. Could be a sneaky play on DraftKings at 3,500. So maybe you want to try something like this. He shouldn't get the start. But if we throw him in there, make some interesting lineups. We got 7,700 left. So again, 2 center night for me on DraftKings by far. We'll have to see. Maladon put up a monster game too. Two games ago, 45 points in 31 minutes. He should see a ton of run again into the mid 30s. Been a 0.72 fantasy points per minute for the season. Over the last month, 0.78, and I think it's only going to go up. It's going to be. He's going to run this team here. So don't mind him. You're going to want a couple pieces from this game. This is a game I would load up on. Even though they're 2 trash teams, there's a lot of injuries. Let's go to the next game. Sacramento at Minnesota. Sacramento, Hassan Whiteside is questionable. Minnesota, a lot of doubtful guys. No Beasley, Noel, D-Russ, and Rubio, all questionable here for the Minnesota side of things. Cat should continue to just eat and get all the shots he wants. He's been putting up some monster games lately. 70, 59, 53, 62, 56. No problem playing Cat. He's going to shoot everything he wants. I don't know if you can get to him on this slate because of the cheap centers, but again, it is a 2 center night by far on DraftKings. Anthony Edwards, 7,400 on Fanduel, 7,600 on DraftKings. He fits perfect in this lineup, but very nice. I love this. He should get a ton of run, regardless of blowout or not against Sacramento. Jayden McDaniels, 5,100 on Fanduel, 5K on DraftKings. McLaughlin, love McLaughlin, 4,600 on DraftKings. I'm 4,400 on DraftKings. He is 4,600 on FanDuel. So I don't even mind. Where do we got? McLaughlin's a point guard here. What can we move around? Flynn's 3,500. Honestly, I would rather take him out. I would rather put in McLaughlin of all those guys out. He's got way higher upside than Flynn does. Put up 38 and 42 minutes against Philly. And if all those guys were out, we should see massive minutes out of him again. And he's been a really good producer. So I love running both these guards, actually. Got 5,800 left, the shooting guard position here to throw him in. Like I said, McDaniels should run a ton. Those are the guys I would focus on. Towns, Edwards, McLaughlin, and McDaniels if those guys are out. Over on the Sacramento side, it's going to be the same guys. Fox, Holmes, Halliburton, Barnes, Hield. Only guys I would run out here. I really wouldn't focus on anybody else. Excuse me. Minnesota's really bad defensively, especially with all those guys out. No problem running Fox, back here. If this game gets close, he should crush. Rashawn Holmes should crush as well against Cat. No problem with him. 7,600 on DraftKings, 7,500 on FanDuel. Barnes, Halliburton, probably the next guy. He's super safe. 5,800 on FanDuel, 6,500 on DraftKings. A little expensive there, but all these guys have no problem against Minnesota. No problem running them out there. Not fitting this lineup construction, but this is a fun slate looking at it. Let's head on to the final game here. The one starts at 8 p.m. We have Phoenix at Houston. On the Phoenix side, no Nader, no Kaminsky, so still like some Saric off the bench. And on Houston, no Wall, no Exum, and Daniel House is doubtful. So on the Phoenix side, I don't really want to load up on Booker or Paul at all. They should be able to handle these guys pretty good. There's no total in this game. There's like no totals at all here. But they should be able to crush Phoenix here. If you're going to look at anyone, it'd be CP3, though, on FanDuel, 7,400. Don't really want him on DraftKings, 8,300. But, again, going up against his old team in Houston, I don't know. I think if they crush him, I still want to go Saric, man. Saric has been 4,100, 18, 27, and 30 over his last 3. If they did smash him, maybe he gets a few more minutes. But don't really love this team. I think you're going to focus more on the Detroit OKC game than really look at something like this. So that's where my money's going to be at. Jay Crowder, I guess you could look at. Bridges, I just don't like it. Ayton, I guess you could look at 6,700. Again, so many centers on this slate. 7K on FanDuel. I just don't really love taking these guys against Houston. Houston, again, no Wall here, so Christian Wood should get a ton of run. 8K on FanDuel, 8,800 on DraftKings. I don't think I'm going to get there because of all the cheap centers are going up to Cat, so it could make him low owned. Porter Jr. kind of put up a stinker. In the last couple of games, 24-34, not a great matchup against Phoenix, so I don't love him, but should see his hands, the ball in his hands a ton. Tate Olynyk, I guess if it got out of hand, maybe Olynyk sees a little bit more run. They do got A.V. Bradley, Jayshawn Tate. Not a spot I'm looking to play a lot of these guys. Olynyk gets it done when he gets minutes. 33 against the Pelicans, put up a 45 burger. but he needs that run. So if they got out of control, maybe they sit Wood, run Olynyk out there a little bit more, which make him interesting. But all these other guys, they just got a ton. I don't really love it. DJ Augustin could play more minutes in a blowout. Kenyon Martin could. Sterling Brown. Don't really love this team, but, focus on the Washington-Toronto game if those injuries do pan out, and then focus on the OKC-Detroit game. That's where I would build around. And then the Minnesota, if all those guys sit that are doubtful, focus on those guys. So, wait, I forgot FanDuel. Let's head back to FanDuel real quick. All right, FanDuel lineup. Let's see what we got going on here. Again, a lot of value that's going to be out there. I talked about McLaughlin. If all those guys sit, I think I'm going to start with him at the point guard position. He's just too damn cheap, and we're going to put him up with Westbrook if there's no Beal. Easily going to get there as well. If Fred VanVleet sits, Gary Trent Jr. is too cheap at 5,400. That's the kind of guy that I want to get on. I talked about Isaiah Stewart. He's power forward eligible at 3,700, which is stupid cheap. They just don't have anyone there to go at it. Sadiq Bey, same kind of thing, 4,400. We want to attack the bigs with Detroit. They fit really easily in these lineups here. Got 7,700 left. We can easily put Towns in this lineup as well. 11K, no problem throwing Towns in there. I think you can go him or Rudy Gobert. Next slide at power forward, we're looking at guys like Julius Randle, Siakam. I'm gonna throw Siakam in this lineup, thinking that Fred VanVleet sits. I'm okay with Siakam even if VanVleet plays, but if he sits, love me some Siakam at 8,700. Matches really well here with Trent and Siakam. That other small forward, we got 5,600 left for 2 spots here. I want to try to get an OG. We got 4,200 left. Don't mind running all 3 of these guys against Toronto. He just has the highest upside here. If I was going to go down here, it might be Jeff Green, Kendrick Williams if I'm punting, or Finney Smith, depending on that situation. I feel the best about Anunoby and Bey, though, at that small forward position. And shooting guard, we got 4,200 left in this particular build. Not a whole lot you love here. Maybe Sterling Brown's going to play some more minutes, or we can look at Svi again with Detroit, but they got a lot of guards, so I don't think I love that. Sterling Brown could get a little bit more run. In a blowout as well, he would play. Bembry could get a little bit more run if VanVleet was out. He's a guy that we can kind of look at. Or maybe we don't go Towns here. Maybe we're saying, hey, that's too expensive. It kills my lineup too much. Maybe we're going to look at mid-range Rudy Gobert against Dallas, Holmes, Pirtle, down here Moses Brown. Let's put Moses Brown in this lineup. LMA, like I talked about, and it gives us a little bit more at shooting guard. And then we got a Booker, DeRozan. DeRozan should do whatever he wants here. I like Mitchell against Dallas, though. Maybe throw Mitchell in here, take out Moses Brown, come down to center, and we got about 6K left. We could throw LMA in this lineup, and this is a nice-looking lineup. And this is kind of where I would start early in the morning research-wise. A lot of news to sift through. We don't know exactly where we're going to be at, but this is kind of a nice little starting point for us as we talk through things. So again, quick little down and dirty for basketball. Again, we got 2 baseball slates on there. I did an early baseball. If you want to check out that video, should be a link over here. And then I'm going to do a main slate baseball video as well. Hopefully this helped you with your NBA first look. Lots of sports here on Monday. Love it. And let's get after it. Please hit that like button for me, subscribe to the channel. And again, if you want access to our cheat sheets, our domination stations, and my projections, head on over to DFSArmy, sign up, use promo code CashCake, save yourself 10%, and you have a fantastic Monday to start your week out. I'll see you on the flip side. Deuces.